this is Dr. Robert Morse. You all know Anasha. I'm Anubuddha. And we've shared a lot of deep moments in the span of our lifetime. I know when you were very young, you started on the spiritual journey. And Anasha's from France. She also started very young. A little bit like you in the theater direction. You were, I think, a musician. And me,
creative arts.
Right away, like, the world is beautiful, but my deepest concern was the inner world. And that's what I get from the time I've learned from you.
Sure.
And then, so, we do a very long story short, but we, for the last 40 years, have been working in the field of touch, breath, and meditation. And so that took us into the world of nutrition.
Sure.
And then a blessed summer in India and Goa, we had a Italian naturopathic doctor.
Oh, wow.
Who was a student of Dr. Bernard Jensen.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Maybe I met him over there.
So Makarand was his Indian name. I forget his given name. But so we got very turned on and transformed through a 5-day his cleanse.
Wow, that's fine.
And this turned our life around. We started
I died on that on the 5 days. I had such a
headache,
palpitation, headache.
Did you really?
God.
Did it go away yet? Or I mean,
no,
did you do that?
no. It was just 5 days.
Superwoman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
Mary.
very welcome.
And our actual work has always been more
That's okay. I'll get it later. I'll get it
with like I said, touch and so I've been teaching kind of non-stop since 1981.
Oh, cool.
I'm in trainings and the whole spectrum from craniosacral to deep tissue work to joint mobilization and Randolph Stone's work.
Yeah, we talked about Stone's work.
So I know that what you all don't know is Dr. Morse was very tight with Bernard Jensen, and in fact Dr. Jensen even considered Robert one of the greatest healers. Didn't he go on record saying that?
He did.
So I know you.
But he was a good friend, you know. He's a spiritual soul.
Yeah.
He wasn't a vitalist or raw foodist, but he was very spiritual. And almost every night, we talked a lot about out-of-body stuff and things like this. And oftentimes he was taken out of his body at night and taught crystal healing.
But he didn't talk about that in his
He didn't
books.
talk about it. And he asked me one time, he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "It's not for this lifetime, Doc." So it's pretty cool. I mean, when you see him, once in a while you'll still see him. And at this late date, you'll still see him. They saw him over there the other day.
You mean his
In the
astral
clinic.
body?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he's still tuned into you.
For some reason.
And
because this is a little late. So he's been gone quite a while.
Well, he had to go. The last time we visited San Diego, you remember, we wanted to see him, but he had cancer, so we couldn't see
Because
him
I grew
at
up
that
in
time.
San Diego, so
Did you?
as a late teenager, when I got into like yoga, and you hear of Bernard Jensen, Randolph Stone was in the area.
And Doc knew everybody.
And
everybody that was
so
in it.
Hidden Valley is very well known.
Well, you know who owns it now, down?
It was a...
Yogananda Fellowship.
Oh,
He sold it to Yogananda Fellowship, and what they do is they grow flowers there and mail them out worldwide.
So Paramahansa, the self-realization.
Right, exactly. Self-realization fellowship.
Oh, that's beautiful.
They bought most of his farm down below, and he retained I'll call it a mountain home if you want, but that's gone now. You know, that's all sold and done. Marie's dead too, and so.
But I mean, you already did, but I was thinking, it would be beautiful to hear you tell a couple stories of your time with him.
I'll have to think of something, something cool.
Or if it comes. But.
I took him to Portugal with me one time, and that was fun, and we.
And he taught you iridology? No.
I already knew it.
Oh, when you went to him, you already...
I was already practicing. I mean, Dr. Jensen came to me back in the early 70s or 80s. No, it had to be 80s. But he brought his wife to see me,
Right.
and he had heard about me through his best friend, Dr. Rudy Splavik, when I talked to you about him, about Dr. Stone's work. And he was so good as a naturopath. This Rudy Splavik, a personal, lifelong friend. They would go down to Brazil where they do the psychic surgeries, put their hands, I've got all those films that they filmed there. But this guy could go, in 1972, what'd you do right here? That's how good he was. And he didn't teach his art to anyone. And he hated medical doctors for all the crap that they give him through the years.
But maybe you can't teach such a
Well,
depth of...
I disagree. I'm a teacher.
Right.
And that's why I do these videos, because everyone out there deserves a right to know how to take care of themselves and how to pull themselves out of this hellville.
Right, and with our work with Conscious Touch, this is what Anasha was saying, she really appreciates something similar of you and of me.
You demystify health and the way to get healthy, because normally it's in the hands of the authorities. I know you do the same with touch. You know,
Yeah,
you
people
really
think,
make it
I'm not a
available.
healer,
It's
I'm
so
not
easy.
sensitive.
I can't
I
touch.
feel like everybody's a healer.
Yeah.
We were
want to
born to
touch.
touch.
Yeah.
Everybody on this planet. And
It's nice to have touch.
and we don't emphasize, a little bit like Stone, the people I love the most, we don't emphasize technique, but we emphasize experience.
Sure.
And if you have the experience, you don't need the technique.
I'll give you a little story. There was a Radhaswami. That's the Kirpal Singh group, the Shabda
I've
Yoga
heard
group.
of him.
Okay.
Okay.
So he was working on it. And those students I'm more in harmony with because they recognize the level of God called Sat Nam. And that's the first level of pure consciousness outside of the realm of duality and creation. And they're the only teaching on this planet outside of Ekankar that actually teaches that realm and above. Now more and more are trying to bring those higher levels, but man can't even get to the soul plane or the Sat Nam region yet. So it's been interesting. But he was working on someone at a seminar, polarity therapy, Dr. Stone, right? So he was working on him, and he was talking about if you care one little bit, your energy will go right into that person, and that's karma. You know, you will pick up their energy and their weaknesses and things like that. The law of homeostasis of energetics. Okay? So, unless you're a real spiritual person and you don't take any of that energy back, but you got to learn how to do that.
Right.
Right? So, he started working on this person, and the room was full of psychics. And one lady was going like that, and he goes, yeah, and she said, I saw your energy go right out and into him and then quickly withdraw. And he said, you know, that's how subtle this is. The best way to stay karmic free when you're a toucher is don't care.
Don't care. No identification.
Right, you cannot care whether that person gets well with your touch or not, because if you do, you just bonded with that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You want to be a pure channel for the divine. When you use your energy, you don't use your energy. You're using the divine energy. You don't have your mind or emotions. Right. You don't have any expectations or anything, because you can't be a pure channel that way. If you want to be a pure channel, you got to pull yourself back to consciousness, that it moves through you and what it needs to do.
Is that how you read eyes, and that's
all
how
of
you
it.
do?
But you know,
all of it. I always let my inner guidance. I mean, when you know how to look at something, yes, but the deeper aspects of it, like you and your psychic or you and your journeys, those are the things you begin to see.
Wow.
But you know, think of like therapeutic touch and all this sort of thing, energetic touch. Think of that translated to fruits and berries and melons and vegetables. It's all energy anyway.
yes.
It's all energetic issues anyway. Plus, if you look at energy, and you back up chemistry, right? So you back up calcium, magnesium, you tear it down, you break down the subatomic particles, right? Electrons, protons, you break all of it. What happens when we bust the atom? What do we get? Pure light and sound. The very thing the higher masters teach.
Right.
And in quantum physics, they now have said that we can not only prove that chemistry is just frequencies of electromagnetic energy, but we can prove that energy has intelligence.
And this is the direction we wanted to go with you.
It's the direction you have to go into.
Electromagnetism of food,
I know it is.
of life.
I know it is, but I want you to see how that translates to
from
the food.
touch, because often, when you say demystify touch, we just start with a simple observation. whatever I look at, I am touching. Right now with my voice, I'm touching you and whoever might
absolutely.
be. And so there's always giving and receiving. So electromagnetism
Duality.
in every touch.
This is creation.
Food touches. So that's what you're, like everything, the air we breathe, what we put on.
Every single thing has the effects. And it's all energy anyway. There's nothing unaware. There's nothing dead.
Isn't it amazing?
There's nothing dead.
But
even minerals have consciousness, states of consciousness.
Yes.
Just because man can't get into these lower states and understand them doesn't mean they don't exist.
Right.
We know plants are fully loaded. But when you look at creation, and let me show you this just for the heck of it.
Yes.
They've seen this chart before. When you look at creation, this is where all duality exists.
Oh, beautiful.
Right? So from the purple down, this is all your mind, and then you get your emotions, and then you get your physical. But these are all in creation. This is all the illusion. This is all the drama, the days of our lives. But it isn't who we are, right?
No.
We are the consciousness that exists from the soul plane or Satnam up. But this is all within. See, there's nothing outside of the all.
Right.
It's all within. So right now, I'm talking to your astral, mental, your several mental bodies,
Right.
and you as consciousness.
Right. Yeah, that's what I wrote to ask you about. I knew for sure that the idea of the 5 bodies that yoga talks about, you're very
Oh yeah.
into that.
Well, I mean, that's what we have. I mean, you look at the anatomy
Yeah.
of creation, right? How it's put
Anatomy
together.
of creation.
You've got to look at that, because if man can understand it, it answers a lot of questions. Because man looks to the divine like this instead of like this.
Right.
See, you can either look to God and wonder what that element is and all that, and hope you have energy or hope you have consciousness and all this, or you can be it.
Right.
And the only way to survive outside of creation is to become conscious again.
I
That's simple.
love that this, at the bottom is something you emphasize all the time, is the chemical.
Chemical.
And the 2 pillars
Well, you
of
got to
chemistry.
fit. You got this body in here.
Yeah.
If you didn't have, if we were in the astral world talking, I wouldn't be mentioning chemistry.
Right, and we wouldn't be touching
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, the astral touches.
But how do you think, okay, so I have a lot of my best friends, they're like hyper spiritually based, but they don't want to go into the thing that food makes that big of a difference.
Oh no.
I don't know why.
I don't
They're
know
beautiful.
why.
Also in the heart chakra, they're wide open. They're
Yeah.
enjoying life like nobody's business.
You know, I see a lot of.
But when we say, we're raw food, and they say, "Oh man, come on, Buddha, why you don't enjoy the good things in life?" And we
Wrong.
say, "I am enjoying."
Yeah, right.
But
Exactly.
But then there seems to be like a total holding on with some spiritual people that they don't want to go that deep into this stratum of the
I
chemical.
want you to remember this.
Okay.
Maybe this is all they can handle. Remember, you might soar and go way into these worlds, and no one else follows you.
Right.
Right. So you just have to realize that the people around you are going to function and operate at the level they can. Capacity. If they had the capacity to open up, they would, because it's truth. Truth will open you up. The denial that a living food has no different effect than the counterpart cooked is just really kind of interesting to me from an energetic person, because that's all it is.
But you must know people like this too. You must have encountered this a lot.
Oh, well,
But I think you're better at letting people see the truth of it.
well, growing up through the years, it's been difficult, because there's no question. If you see one once in a blue moon that'll align with what your thinking is,
Yeah.
you're lucky. We have the whole world right now suffering so bad that more and more people are aligning, and if we can simplify truth to the simple essence that everyone can understand it,
Yes.
that's the goal. This isn't mine or yours or anybody else's. This is all of us. We're here. We're simply consciousness expressing itself in duality.
But do you see the possibility for a lot of the physical suffering to turn around if people don't change their diet?
No,
You don't.
that will not happen.
It won't happen. It
That will
cannot
not
happen.
happen. It
It's
cannot
like
happen.
almost mathematical.
It will not happen, and it
Listen,
cannot happen.
listen.
Because you can sit there and think in the positive thinking. Again, you're still using creation.
Right, that's
you're
what
still
I was
using the
getting at. They're
mind.
positive
Right.
thinking, and that, you know, I can eat this pizza, and
Right.
it's gonna, you know.
Bull. I've lived with that all my life. My sister was bad at that. She's a positive thinker. I'll just keep positive thinking and it'll come true.
And they're having a good time in general. I
Yeah,
won't say
but
that.
make sure you want to keep locking yourself in creation. Because when you're using your mind and emotions to navigate yourself, you're locking yourself into creation. You can use those tools, your bodies, but you want to use it from a conscious position, not an unconscious involvement in the bodies.
Right.
In other words, get used to putting your mind out here and telling your mind to go get the information. Don't follow it. It'll bring it back to you.
Yes.
Don't follow it.
Wow,
That's just
beautiful.
not going anywhere anyway.
Right.
Nothing really moves anywhere, really.
So I think you've seen almost every, what we call, the medical people call disease, you've seen it turn around and heal. Almost every type of thing.
I think that,
That's true,
everything,
right? For the
everything.
people that
If you-
don't know you.
I'll put it this way. Diseases are uncurable. Totally. But if you have a neurological condition where you can't move or talk or walk anymore, very curable. If you have tumors in you, very curable. But when you treat diseases, they're incurable. Because diseases don't exist. They're a fallacy of the medical mind. And you've got to realize it.
Way of thinking.
Well, think of that. Well, cause and effect. That's what your friends have to look at. Life is cause and effect in each level. The problem is when you operate from some of these higher levels, you forget that there's laws on all these lower levels. There are laws to govern your bodies.
Right.
In consciousness, there is no laws. But people get that, and then they think positive thinking, and then everything just goes into that vein.
But that
there's
tumor grows, and that
tumor will keep growing.
neurological problem.
You can wish it away,
worsens.
pray it away, meditate it away.
But it ain't
It's
going
going away because you're losing the point. Consciousness means you understand the laws of each level and respect those laws because it's essential for each species. The human is just one little species. Not all beings have the look of humans, so you have to realize there's so much differences in all the galaxies and stuff. There's you just have to realize that the human is just one species out of. Look at the different species on this planet. The human is just one of multiples, and this is true.
We arrogantly think we're the highest.
Ridiculous. On this planet, neurologically, yes,
Right,
because this is the beginning of self-awareness.
right.
If you're one of those that can step back into different forms, you will find if you go back into the animal forms, there's no self-awareness there, and keep going back into the plant, no self-awareness. There's awareness, and there's an understanding. There's consciousness, but there's not the self type awareness that you see. It's a lot different.
It's making me think, but even like neurologically, you say we're the highest, but like
That's why
Bernard Jensen showing up here, he's not operating in a neurological body, but he has so there's higher energies on this planet than us.
Well, we'll just
That's
think physically though. Well, maybe not from this planet,
Right.
although right now we have so many visitors.
True.
So many visitors.
We see it in Ecuador. You see a lot
There,
of UFO.
we've
What
got-
you call UFOs.
we got visitors. We got walk-ins all over the place now.
Right.
We've got all kinds of things, but it's not all bad. A lot of the walk-ins are great beings,
Mm.
and it's just people have to lose fear over this, and governments have to start, joining with the understanding that we're going to have more and more visitors. Man has got to wake up.
As this
And
time
understand
is
it.
so potent,
Oh.
it's drawing in a lot of attention.
Well, look at that's it. We're in the Kali Yuga in the Upanishads, but
Right.
it's enough to say that you can see the negative cycles. But there's so many of us spiritually that we're feeding this planet, and the masters are here by the groves, by the friggin' groves. So it's enough to say that there's something special going on.
But that means what you're doing, I think, with your school, with your teaching, you're trying to bring all these levels to an understanding.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe I have a very good understanding in parts of this, but I'm very weak on it. So that's what I'm hoping, that our brothers and sisters do open up to this chemical reality. We have so many friends our age that have died already.
Yeah, I know.
That we spent years with celebrating life.
Yeah.
And
But you can celebrate life, but there's levels to life, and creation has these levels to it. And you have to understand these levels, but you can relate those levels to your own self because you have these bodies and you use them. Like the first shoot out of pure consciousness is going to be individualization, right? When you're looking at duality, consciousness isn't dual. Consciousness is one. So as your awareness looks into creation, it starts to manifest in duality. So the id, yourself, your individualized self is the first thing formed. That's the etheric world. The I am faith is teaches from that level. But then you've got the universal mind. That's where all your minds come from. All individual minds come out of the universal mind. And you can study all these things. But if you want freedom, true freedom in your world, you have to stop thinking, stop desiring. You got to do the Jesus Buddha thing.
right.
Enoch, all these spiritual beings have told man, if you want to get out of the world, if you feel like your time is done, or you want to enjoy a much higher level of understanding, quit desiring this level. Your desires bind you to those.
Do you think these states are more accessible when people do clean up what they put in their body?
They're more accessible in terms of being free from them because it breeds detachment. It's funny that way. Acids agglomerate, pull us all together, stick us together.
I've noticed
That's
that.
socialism.
Yeah.
That's the negative side.
That doesn't give freedom.
That doesn't get freedom. The
It pulls together.
right?
Yeah.
Individuality. Again, you can relate this to chemistry: alkaline and base. I mean, alkaline and acid,
Right.
and you can see the difference. Funny how that is. You know, you can relate that to all levels, from chemistry to magnetics to all things. But if you want the true consciousness, you got to drop all of that and just be pure energy. And you just got to be conscious. That is energy like nobody's business.
And what would you say to people that are really seen and they're looking for those spaces of no mind, like you're saying?
Because they're trying, they're looking from here to there, and they will never find God.
Right.
You have to look from here, God, to creation. You can't look from creation up to or to some being. You're already that, so you have to be that if you want to be totally conscious. The problem with it is they're looking outside of themselves. Go in to get out, but you're still looking. I traveled a lot out of body for a number of years, and then a voice came to me and said, well now, who's the traveler? You like traveling so much, but who's the traveler? And it just hit me like a ton of, hell yeah, who am I?
Right.
I can travel from astral to mental to whatever. I go to the cities of jewels. But who's the traveler?
Right.
That's what you have to get to. And then you have the freedom of all these worlds to enjoy.
And are you trying to share this with the people that come to you? That's what you're doing constantly.
Well,
so you're kind of moving like, okay,
that's my number one focus.
let's talk about your food, okay, and then let's talk about, you're just...
Why is that? You've had enough experience dealing with humans. Why is that? Because when you try to come in the front door, the doors are closed.
Right.
They're full of fear,
Right.
and religions have locked the doors on people and everything else. So
It's almost like an excuse. You just use that in order to
that's it. That's it.
show
It's it. And so,
the world.
exactly.
But isn't this the way the real healers should be thinking?
That's what I
And-
think.
What
and
I
I'm thinking.
you know, I think at some point there were more people like yourself that were, okay, you've got a physical ailment, but let's look.
But I like to look at the being. I like to look at that being and see what's going on there. Where are you trapped? What's going on? What karma have you locked into? Where are you stuck? Because that way, then I can help them. And that a true healer can see, like you just said, hit it on the head. A true healer can see deep within that individual, not just the physical body. It's obvious. If you don't eat, right? You pay the price. If you eat acid ash for me, but you're going to pay the price. I mean that.
But a true healer connects with the soul. As simple as that. The
Believe it or not,
is
everything is the one.
That's the only thing,
Exactly.
you connect with.
Exactly.
So
And you
we
guys
got
are
to get
energy
this
people.
out more. We got to get this out.
Well, yeah,
We
you
gotta-
guys are energy people, and if you're going to be an energy person, you've got to consume raw foods because whether your compadres know it or not, this is pure energy. Yes, if you're conscious, big deal, it doesn't affect you in terms of you don't feel that energy as much. But if you keep eating cooked foods, your body, physical body, is going to pay that price.
Yeah, I felt
You know,
that.
I've seen people try to pray themselves, meditate themselves, positive thinkers out the butt. Got laws.
Right.
God
Yeah.
made laws so everything fits, and no one is above that. Not even the holy ones.
Yeah.
You know, they know the law, so they live their lives with that.
I love in yoga, even Patanjali, the great original yogi, he calls Anamaya Kosha the first body, and it's translated the food body. So my physical body, he calls it the food body.
He's right on.
And then the pranamaya kosha, and
Right
then
on.
the energy, and then the mental, like
Yeah.
you talk about.
Yeah, but if you look at your world, we have thoughts and different levels of the mind,
Yeah.
and then we have our emotions, which is totally separate than the
Yes.
mind. Then we have the physical body, which is totally separate from that.
Right.
So it's hard to understand
It's an
because
organic unity, but there are
so slickly done.
right.
That's why I'm a God lover, because
it is amazing.
it is amazing.
It's a miracle,
It's unreal.
and it's kind of mysterious, but it's it's unfathomable, but it's kind of approachable.
Yeah, I mean, we look at these worlds, and there's worlds upon worlds upon worlds. You know, I was watching this one, Hubble pictures, and the Hubble was filming way out. Now I understand they're in the millions of galaxies. I showed a picture up on YouTube of 120,000 galaxies that Hubble discovered. 120,000 galaxies.
You can't even
No,
conceptualize
you
that.
can't fathom.
That's what I'm saying. Mind cannot conceptualize the infinite.
Right.
So then, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this live on TV, on Science or whatever it is, and here's 3 or 4 galaxies chasing each other,
What?
chasing each other, and I'm looking, what? I mean,
What did the scientists
I'm gonna just
make
say,
of
the view from above.
that? The view.
I'm telling you, man is so locked in this little planetary experience.
Right.
But you just have to free yourself from that. While you have a body, enjoy that.
Yes.
You know, enjoy the finer things of emotions and things from a higher viewpoint, not from the body themselves, you know. Become more conscious.
And on this energy level, like part of your whole passion has been to study herbs. I think you're one of the foremost people.
Yeah, well, you know what I did with it?
I'm slowly learning your background, but you've been doing herbs and creating companies
Oh, yeah.
and
A lot of stuff.
like an American Indian. You
Yeah.
must be an old.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had health food stores in the early 1970s,
Right.
and I've always loved botanicals. At first, botanicals weren't involved. I used supplements, you know, like calcium
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But then there was this voice, look what I made. Look what I made. And I just had this affinity for
It's growing
botanicals.
on the branch,
Oh,
on the trees,
on the
and
branch of the tree. But I'll say this. Botanicals are used for the wrong reason. Diseases do not exist. This is
this is what
theory.
you wanted to say. This is what you wanted to
This
get
is
to.
really good.
Yes, because man's theory of disease is full of fallacy. They can't prove it scientifically. No science can match their studies they claim. So it's a mess. So you have to look at botanicals were made for body parts. There's herbs for kidneys, there's herbs for livers, there's herbs for
In
hearts.
Ecuador, even our gardener, he said, "Oh, this is really good for," and he because we say, "What is that?" And old Jorge, he's our age, and and amazing guy, but
But it's so simple. Such a simple man. So much in touch with nature.
Yeah.
and we lost that so big time, and
Well-
you're trying to kind of keep it going.
It's the mind, you know. I think you have to realize that there's a lot of individuals like yourselves. It's time to awaken up and to leave. So in your final years, you're going to help others to
Right.
connect too.
But did you have many experience that the herbs and the plants are talking to you, telling you
Oh.
what you
Oh,
must?
oh, oh.
I assume you did, but
Well,
anything to
I don't
say
know.
on that level?
Is people going to be able to handle what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
I wanted to know what it was like to go back into some life forms. So I've been back as low as I've been. I've never been back to the minerals in my recollection, but I've had many experiences back in plant life and animal life. And all I
You
can
just
tell
regret. You just
oh no,
kind
they
of
took me
opened
back
yourself-
into they took me right back into these lives, and I can tell you, you can't go back. You can't get into these life forms. It's too claustrophobic. I'll tell you right off. The human consciousness, as opposed to this planet, is much more fluid. I just don't know how to describe it to you. When you get into the plant kingdom, it's very inert. It's conscious, but it's inert. It's very tight for me. I couldn't
They
hardly
must
feel
be
it.
compact because inside that plant it wants to give us health.
But remember, this is step down consciousness. These
Right.
are step down levels.
Mhm.
This isn't, you can't have full consciousness in you or plants or anything else while embodied. Or you'll blow your body up. You'll burn
Right.
your body right up.
Right.
3 o'clock. So that's part of the problem,
Right.
is that you just have to remember balance and all of this sort of thing. Because even in energy work and everything else, you can get unbalanced.
Absolutely.
They took me on a ride of energy like you've never seen it, and I had to quit eating raw. I had cooked food. I had raw and cooked, but I had to start eating some cooked food. I had to ground.
Right.
Couldn't take it.
But you got a lot of, they like to say, a download of information from the plant world.
You get all the information you want.
Yeah.
You can get
And that's
all
what
the
you try to
information
do
you
with
want.
your botanicals.
I do, but I respect them as individuals, and I know which ones like each other, and that's what I do. I get them together and say, "How you guys doing? You like it? Oh, you don't want to be with them? Okay, you're out." I mean, I feel them, and I'm pretty
And
familiar
so
with their content.
let me see. I don't know if you're ready for this, but okay. So then you're trying to think. Okay, I have this gland called pituitary or thyroid, and then you bring in some plants that kind of because. Maybe I went hypo or hyper on and you're looking at me or whoever, and you know that this is part of the organic unity.
I don't think that way.
But then how do you have a glandular, not a glandular, like
An herbal thing?
an herbal, and it has this is for adrenal.
Because this is what I do.
And how did you do?
Because I got into the plant lives, got into the herbs that are needed for what. Thought I could look at the best. I also reviewed other books, herbology books. I look at other people's experiences and
Right.
ideas as well. So I try to get a collage of all these things, and then I put the formula together. I've learned through all these years. See, I've been teaching
For your whole
45
life?
years.
Yeah.
And I've taught herbology, and I've taught all this. So I'm very familiar with the herbs and which ones are which. And sometimes I play with new ones, and I don't know whether they're going to be harmonious with the group.
And how do you test it, or how do you on yourself?
No, I feel them.
You feel it.
Oh yeah, I go right into them.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, I don't test them. I go right into them. I got to know you. And then, if you feel in harmony, you get in. If you don't get in. And so then the formula's made that way. Very few formulas have I ever had to change. They keep me changing them a little bit because herbs are getting harder and harder to get. And this is one of the big things man has to learn. And I'm hoping that we can create massive herb farmers. Because when man realizes where their remedy is,
Yeah.
watch out. They're going to suck down there.
But
They're
that's
already
something
sucking
in
them down.
Ecuador that people are buying land and organically reconstructing the soil.
Good,
And
good, good.
But
Good.
that's one question you were interested in. Let me see if I find it right here. That for Anasha, yes. That many people claim. No, this one. Oh, you were asking about many of the New Age gurus or health conscious, functional, integrative medicine folks all claim to treat the cause, not the symptoms. That's what they claim.
Yeah, I know.
And then Anasha's saying, but in a different way, they are all fractional, and in her opinion, treat symptoms and confuse people.
They're all fractional.
And they almost all seem to have a major money agenda they are into. Have you also seen this
Oh, yeah.
tendency?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
We met yesterday someone, old friend of ours, so we had dinner with them, and she has cancer 3 times. So she went to a healer, raw food healer. And one session is basically $500 for 1 hour.
What?
Yes. And
For 1 hour?
yes, 5.
But that's before we talk about what you might need or... And this guy's
Plus-
very well known. I can
plus
tell you off
the-
camera.
Really?
Plus the supplement afterwards that you have to
Can't
buy.
be a bunch.
But the cancer came back 3 times. And you look at the woman, and when I look at the bags she has here, I'm like, oh my
It
God,
is,
oh
yeah.
my
Well, it
God,
just fits with
here.
the- yes,
and
it-
I was even telling you yesterday, I'm actually, something in me is nagging and saying, she has to be really careful. So they knew we came to see you. And the man was trying to tell you.
Well, because I said in my eyes, it was kind of a wake-up for me that I have a very cloudy brain, because I think I'm a pretty sharp thinker and can just go into spaces. But and he was saying, no, Buddha, you don't have that. You need a blood test to see what's happening with your cholesterol. Because I said I never thought I had a backload of cholesterol. Right. And then I tried to talk about the lymph system, but some of the medical people, they can just think you right out of everything. They can think you right out of health.
That's because they're used to using the id body a lot.
This gets back to what.
Well, it does, and part of the problem is education and academics. You have to walk with balance. I remember there was a graduation I did a ceremony for.
Yes.
It was of a natural health school up here in Sarasota. And I'm still not sure the students understood what I was talking about, but you fill your mind. You fill it full of knowledge and all of that, right? But then you're not conscious with that. You're lost because you stuck it into the causal mind, which is the library of the mind. And so you don't have an overview of that. Right. Plus you've been using your mind, so you get lost in the mind, then you develop narcissism. And then elitism. And this is what you see in the medical community, narcissistic elitists. And they just think nobody has the answers but them. Yet, their theories hold no truth, and they're the biggest killers of humans on the planet.
I find it amazing.
And it's amazing their narcissism is so huge. And we're turning that around because they can't face truth.
Right, and you're kind of breaking the mass hypnosis they put on.
That's right.
They've got everybody
exactly what they
hypnotized.
Well, you know why? Look at the connection to the World Bank. Everybody knows that one.
No, but this gets too complex. It's even much more complex than this, I think. But it's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
But you don't see any problem that somebody has physically, mentally, or spiritually that can't be turned around.
Oh no, unless they don't want to.
Yeah, that's a point.
That's also the point.
Unless they don't want to.
Even me, I'm very good with raw, and I'm thinking, wow, basically they're telling me I should only eat fruit.
Well, if you want to get into the higher levels, but think about this. We were talking about a study where they thought that the primate and the human brain, remember that one on YouTube? Yes. The primate and the human brain were so big is because of the fruit. Because remember, man is an islander species originally, not a paleo, an islander. So he was a fruit eater. So what you have is they think the primates and the human brains are so big because of fruit. I have a different take. Okay. These are species, these are created by the all. But the fruit, the magnetic energy, you want energy? Fruit has the highest electromagnetic energy, right, of all foods. Look at the brain. The bigger brains, the more electrical system, the more conscious, the more energy is required. Take a look at that. The more awake you are, the more energetic being you are.
The more electrically you have, then the more magnetically you can get even bigger energy.
But look at this. You're pulling in from the universe. No, you give to the... Remember, you are the king of energy. You are conscious. You're the one that has the God. You're just simply God manifested in individualized form. So you have all the power you need. If you try to bring it in, you're bringing in a lower power. You want to be the higher power. Then you don't have to think about energy or be, because you're already being pure energy. If not, then you're trying to generate energy, and it's like.
And I think that's what happens to so many. I call them wannabes. They want to be a great guru or a great healer.
Exactly.
So they're actually right and wrong simultaneously.
They're still locked in these lower dualistic worlds. And it doesn't matter. There's a lot of gurus and a lot of look at the sing group stuff. Even though they talk about Satnam, I've met them.
Right.
Most of them deal with things in the lower aspect. Very difficult to maintain consciousness or the now. In other words, the observation. Very difficult to just be an observer without the mind coming in and go, oh, but that's, and then you just start clicking because all the aspects of the mind come in, the emotional come up, the sensories. But you have to learn to be in that present moment at all times as much as you can. Keep pulling yourself there. That's the source of all energy. You don't want to try to generate it out here. You want to be it. So you eat it at this level. Right. Your emotions, you get detached from, and then your emotional energy goes way up. anytime you have thoughts, desires, or acids, these are all obstructions to the flow of energy.
And
So
that's
you're going to say thoughts.
yeah.
Go ahead.
That's why you need the fruit, berries, and
You have to.
and otherwise it's always you're always going to have.
It's just the energetic source of the Homo sapiens, the energetic body. That's all that is. It makes such a big deal about diets. It's amazing to me because it's like you're either going to eat your health or you're going to eat your disease.
But then with their desires, they just skew the information. Because I have
People do that all the
a
time.
good friend that he almost thought I was the stupidest guy in the world because I said we're fruit, we're not. What is his word?
We are omnivore, but
We're
we are
omnivores.
omnivore. Don't you know we are omnivore?
See, that right there is one of the biggest misunderstandings on the planet, that the Homo sapien is an omnivore.
But these are intelligent
He's wrong,
people,
wrong.
Robert,
I know.
and they're like they're backed up. They have a lot of reasons they say that's true.
How? What could you back up to prove that the Homo sapiens is an omnivore? None of your tissues in your body demonstrate that. Nothing.
Your
Nothing
GI tract
doesn't demonstrate that.
Your
teeth
GI
don't.
don't.
Your teeth don't.
Your
Your paws don't. I mean, there's nothing to the human that just demonstrates omnivore.
It's only adaptation and
Adaptation,
and then maybe we are now.
Bartholomew, no, I want you to think about this. Someone brought that up to my attention one time. Man's adapted to this. Oh, really? Take a look at where man is.
Right, you call that
Never
adaptation.
see. They never.
that-
You call that adaptation? What you use
I
the
don't
word
want
cancer.
anything of it.
But people are just look. If you sat in our clinic for a couple of days, you'd walk out. I've said this to men before. You walk out crying. The world is sick, and it's coming at us like
You
crazy.
just need to go to Walmart. And you get it right
So
there.
why-
You see it's just unbelievable.
Exactly.
But why aren't people then more available for this?
And consciousness.
Unconsciousness.
You have to
And I
realize
guess
we're all
habits is a
unconscious.
very strong acid. Like, and people are locked into habits, and they would rather have that habit than their
You
health.
know,
Look at thought system.
maybe we are. I think we have been guided towards that. For me, it happened 1995, I think. I remember reading about the hygienist and Eret, etc. And it was like, that's it. That's right.
Yeah.
That's how I have
Yeah,
to
you know
eat.
truth when you hear
You
it.
know,
You know,
you knew it.
exactly. You know truth
And
when
that's
you
what
hear it.
we got when
You
we
know it.
when we got into you. I mean, you have your own style that is really out there.
But-
I said, but this guy's he's
That's
walking
it.
in truth.
Well,
Yes.
I mean,
That's true.
but you have the consciousness to see it.
Yes, that's a
Not everybody does.
True.
Excuse me, and I can't judge them because they're on their journeys.
Yeah.
And not everyone's meant to take off from this planet right now, this level. And those that are, we've talked about it.
Where do you keep this? Because sometimes when faced with all this opposition or like this, it's just not going. How do you?
You
keep
have to start
generating
teaching, because you have to pull yourself back to pure consciousness and start talking from that.
And
not
you
from the
do
lower
what you
body.
mentioned earlier. You don't have any. When you look at even Earth planet, that it's going to turn it around. You're not.
It is not supposed to.
It's not supposed to.
There is a limit to that. There's a limit or a saturation to magnetics and chemistry. And it's vital because, listen, this is just a place to develop its ability to expand itself and to teach itself, each individual aspect of itself, to be the creative dreamer itself. So imagine you're the all. You individualize yourself in unlimited pieces, and you train those individual pieces of yourself to also be the creator, conscious creator.
Right.
So you're creating your consciousness everywhere in individual forms and allowing that individual form to create worlds within worlds. And it's kind of
This
like
is God.
an example of that kind of would be like here in this world, in the physical world, then people get lost on the computer into another world, and then TV into another world, and pretty soon they're lost in many, many worlds.
Yes.
And the further away you go,
Wow.
and all it is your attention, is all it is. Your attention is being pulled in there by yourself. You want to know? You're looking in there to see, because you got to realize this, you can't be here. I'm talking to you from the soul plane. I'm not talking to you from the physical body. I'm looking at your physical body, but that's not where I'm talking. Because you can't be here consciously.
Thank you, and I think already that's what I learned being around Osho. He could look at your being, so just somebody to look at your being already starts something cooking. Because nobody ever since we were born on this planet, unless you're lucky,
Unless you're
looked
lucky.
at your being.
Exactly.
They looked at,
Or if you're lucky,
you got to study harder. You got to apply your,
I
you
know.
know.
Or maybe you got a darshan, a little from a master or something, or a
Right.
guru or something. But the problem is that you have to awaken yourself.
Right.
Because there's no one can do it for you. And just remember, thoughts are obstructions to the flow of energy. Feelings are obstructions to the flow of energy. Chemistry can be obstructive to the flow of energy.
Yes.
Proteins are very obstructive to the flow. So you have to learn what obstructs the flow of magnetic energy and get away from that. Stop thinking, stop desiring, the Buddha thing, the Christ thing,
Yes.
all of that. They
And
taught all of
get
that.
rid of your beliefs.
Get
which is a
rid
big
of your
one.
beliefs. Get rid of this,
It's
the
really
desire for this world, and you'll play in this world a lot better.
And this Aquarian desire that it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
That's
You know, these are beautiful souls, but you know what? There's a reality far beyond that. That's very real, and
they got.
things are not always
They have
beautiful.
a faulty GPS. They
Yeah.
got lost.
Yeah, because
to use
let
the
me-
new terminology.
excuse me. I'll say this. As beautiful as you can imagine, these crystal cities and the trees and the flowers are crystal lights of healing and energetic resonance, it's still duality. And you have the other side.
Right.
I've been to prisons on these different planes that your being cries in fear. Your
Right.
beingness
Right.
cries in fear. So if anybody
So
knew,
terrible.
and I just wonder what you have to do to go through these experiences, and it's like, oh shit, no way. You know, that's why if you realize some of the consequences, you just try to keep yourself conscious and in the straight and narrow, because the duality, you have positive and negative, opposite sides of the same coin.
Yes.
But not you. Your consciousness, that you're not dualistic. Your bodies are, and they have to live in those worlds. You have laws in the middle worlds, laws in the astral worlds, and laws in the physical. If you break them, your body pays the price. You might not. You could pull back and not feel the pain or anything from that. Okay. But if you want to,
the body is going to go.
yeah, the body will,
Or the mind.
or the
it's
mind
still
will,
can-
absolutely. But if you want an incredible integrated experience, then let it go. Just be conscious and let your mind do it, your emotions do it. You can still love each other, make love, play, do whatever you want, but your priorities change. And the way you conduct yourself is different, because you conduct yourself from a conscious position, not an unconscious position of thoughts and feelings and
Wow.
things like that. You know,
We want to do whatever we can to
absolutely
help you
become
do your
conscious.
work.
Yeah.
No, but also to help you. I'm very touched by
Oh, good.
by the depth of your personal experience and how much you've.
It's
in
wild.
The Buddhist word, the metta, the loving
Oh, yeah.
compassion you have. I feel your love for people.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It
got to be
is.
careful with the compassionate stuff. You know, I've been called a lot of different things, but the compassionate one is one, and it's like you got to be careful with that, because I've learned that it can bind you real hard too.
Right.
Because I have a love for all life. I mean, you can't help not to. I mean, it's just
Right.
you can't. It's just
But that can be the
that
new
can be a
hook,
double-edged
you mean.
sword. It can be a hook
big
in creation.
And you,
It
and it
become-
can
absolutely.
stunt your growth,
Absolutely.
or your movement.
Nail me to the coffin. So
And the better you are at helping people, the harder it is
well,
to get
you bring the
free of
negative
it.
forces to you.
Yeah.
You remember, the
Interesting.
battle isn't here.
But you see, because it's a word that we use, compassion.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when you realize yourself, compassion. The word compassion doesn't mean anything. You know, you are just pure light and pure love.
Okay, so
So-
compassion turns to divine love, sweetheart. Compassion is an individualized expression, but
Yes.
divine love has no bounds. No, it's not conditional. So there is no reason for it or not for it. It just is, and it exudes out of consciousness. And
So
it
that's
really
a safer
doesn't.
energy than compassion. And
Yeah, you know, when you say compassion at one level, but
It-
at
it
another
can be
level, it doesn't care.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, then it looks almost like,
I can just
Yes.
tell you.
I don't mean to
Yeah.
be bad, but it looks like Mother Teresa,
Right,
you know.
right.
No, I'm
You're-
not thinking of compassion in this
Exactly.
in those terms. For me, it's like, because I do know the space where I can say I love this man, I love you, I love,
I can.
and at the same time, I do not care. Ultimately, it's absolutely not relevant.
That's perfect. Because
No.
it doesn't care. All life is it. So what does it care?
Right.
If it does, it'll wipe it out and create a new. I mean, you can't stop it. Look at creation. I'm a gardener. Look at weeds. You can't stop life. It's just going to sprout up here, and that's what's needed in the body. You put it in the right chemical or magnetic stance,
Right.
and you got sprouts growing.
Right.
New vascular systems, new lymph, new tissues. Cool stuff.
We need more talks, but anyway, this lymphatic system, I think you're gone places nobody else
Yeah,
is going
definitely.
with.
We were meant to bring this out.
And I really get excited because I remember
It's the answer to all their concerns
the
here.
great mystic who started osteopathy still. He talked about the cerebral spinal fluid somehow connected
No
with the
kidding.
lymphatics.
Well,
And so did you ever, that's what, because I'm very into the cranial
if it wasn't for this female professor, and I'm going to say it's about 5 years now, she found what she dubbed the glymphatic system in the brain, claiming that it uses the spinal fluid to detox. Well, that's a blower mind for people.
But it still is the man, he was also was one of the first people on record to say we have the drugstore inside. We have everything
Sure.
we need, and if the lymphatics are free, the whole body is free.
Yeah, but you understand.
And that was the original osteopathy, and he wouldn't teach technique. But now osteopathy is all about technique, and that's what you meant.
If you can find an
They talk
osteopathist,
holistic, but they're just
but
treating
you
symptoms.
might in your place have an osteopathist that's good, but not here. They're all medical doctors.
They're medical people, yeah.
Yeah, and it's too bad because they have the ability to bridge a lot of things.
And he was very spiritual, this man still. He was very, it was all...
I think, all your healers at one level or another are going to have, remember, everything's leveled.
Yes.
So what's true for someone at one level is not true for you.
But anything to say about the cerebral spinal fluid and lymphatics?
No, I think it's a detoxifying area, and that's why I like to keep people's spine straight. And scoliosis and everything can interfere with this, but remember, all things come off of that. Blood, nerve, and lymph. The three main energy flows of the human body is blood, nerve, and lymph. And that comes out of that spinal column.
Yeah.
Blood, nerve, and lymph. So that's essential to keep that straight.
But with fruit, berries, and melons.
Absolutely.
But
Magnet, you guys are into energy. I mean, why do energy healing on someone and they go out and have a cooked meal? They just lost what you gave them, because unless they become conscious and generate their own magnetics, then they're depending on you to open up some pathways and stuff like that and give them some sucre with maybe a few words of wisdom and stuff like that. But in reality, these are the
not sugar, sucre.
And these are the seekers, and the seekers never find. The seeker of God never finds God, guys.
Did you hear that
The
one?
seeker of God never finds God.
Where is electromagnetism in the lymphatic system? Like, it looks almost more like magnetic.
Oh, no, I think it's everywhere. Your electromagnetic system is essentially in every aspect of chemistry, in every aspect of tissue. Just remember, everything comes out of this consciousness. So every part is electromagnetically. What is everything made of?
But
Atoms,
I'm thinking of I can visualize it in nervous system and but in the lymphatic, I think I don't have a visualization of it the same way.
Look at this way. All right, so you're looking at chemistry in the lymphatics, right? But what's a dominant chemistry that the lymphatics are responsible for? Acids, right? But in magnetics, that's only one side of the field. So when you start hydrating with your alkaline foods, your fruits and berries, that brings that into the lymph system as well. That's how the body brings base chemistry.
We don't see the lymphatic system both sides of it.
You don't see both sides
what
of
it's
it.
doing.
Right, but the only reason I can help people with tumors and all of this is that there's the hydration effect, there's the ionization effect, and
So
that
if they don't do that part, you're kind of helpless.
you're done.
And the herbs can't really get there.
You're done. The only thing the herbs can do is help promote better kidney function. There are herbs for the lymph system that's very astringent, and they claim can break up tumors. Astringent. There are very strong herbs for that. There are. But you have to have the doorway open. You can't get into the lymph system, say, I'm going to boost your immune system, I'm going to clean your lymph system.
Do all the supplements.
If you don't get the kidneys to filter it. You've got to look at the eliminative organs. And that's where man's problem is. He's not filtering the sewer system. What do you do about that? See, and you've got to get the kidneys to start filtering. If you don't get your kidneys filtered, if your pee is clear, you're not filtering. And if you're not filtering, This is why. This person you were talking about that has the 3 cancers, he doesn't know anything about the lymph system, so he's not helping her with the lymph system. You can't treat acid damage to cells. That's all cancer is, acid damaging cells. You can't treat that. Steroids, anti-inflammatories, they treat it with more acids. So it's like, it's all messed up.
It's come on, guys.
Yeah, come on, get to the
scientists. But I find that so funny. They're less scientific than the average person,
but they are so
unscientific.
unscientific and insecure that they put it back on you. They're the one who says you're no good. You don't know anything.
Yeah,
And a typical medical doctor will do
That's their
that.
mode of operation.
That's their mode of operation is to blow it back, because when you don't know anything, this is you blow it back on them. If you know something, you're going to sit there and talk about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
But if you don't know anything, you're gonna make it to where that was a stupid question. You're gonna put it back on,
Man, you don't
and they
know
don't have any answers.
Yeah.
They've created this illusionary concept of diseases. They don't know what causes any of them. They can't cure any of them, but we can treat them with toxic pharmaceuticals.
We can keep you alive for 2 years instead of 1 year.
What is that? What is
I
that
don't know.
machine?
It's
a
scary,
killing
is what
machine.
it
It's a
is.
scary. It's a
Scary.
killing machine.
Yeah.
And look at the amount of deaths worldwide by the treatment of just cancer. Just that one. Millions
All
worldwide. Probably
these
50,
smart
60
people
million.
are still hypnotized by it. I find
Still hypnotized.
find it
Now,
unbelievable.
imagine the people that are maimed. The body's damaged and destroyed by that. Not killed, but destroyed. Millions more than the ones that died. It's a
Even worse,
mess.
Yeah, it's a
Sure.
big mess.
It's a big mess. It is part of the negative forces, and it has to be corrected.
So you're having fun doing your little rocking the boat, playing with the whole.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. And it's going to happen whether they like it or not.
But this would be a.
That's because of all those beautiful people out there.
Would you ever come and do a workshop that was organized? Any place? Do you ever travel?
Sometimes. I'm not a real travel person. I had
Not anymore, huh?
Not anymore. I went back and forth to Lisbon enough to burn myself out, and so I don't really like traveling that much. You can't sleep well. You
Right.
you
Don't
can't
tell
poop
me.
well because
We
stress.
travel a lot. We
I
travel-
know.
we
It's
travel-
like you're on someone else's bed, or the bed's
Don't
not
tell
comfy,
me.
and I like comfortable beds.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah, and we live in nature. We are, anywhere.
we've got Skype, we got all kinds
No,
of
but
things
I'm
now.
just saying that because what a kind of retreat workshop of 5 days meditating with the lymphatic
I want
system.
to go down to your place anyway.
Okay, so 5 days.
Someday I wouldn't mind going
3
down.
days with the lymphatic system.
Well, it's like our school. We have a 4-day class, and it's basically all lymphatics. I mean, we get into the chemistry, get into how creation is made.
Yeah.
That's number one. You understand how creation is made, you have an up on things. When you don't understand things, then you're unconscious, and it leaves you like a wind blowing in the leaves. Someone says something could be true, someone says something else, it could be true,
Yeah,
and
that's-
everybody has opinions. It's like books. You love books, but there's all opinions, theories.
No, absolutely. There is a moment you can't take any information anymore. It's just
So,
information.
exactly. So what did Jesus say? Buddha said the same thing. You are the living truth. What does that
Yeah.
mean? You're the conscious one.
Don't look out.
Don't look outward. Don't. Remember in Christianity they talk about the fall was from the tree of knowledge, right?
Yes.
The two took from the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge is what? The mind.
The mind, yeah.
The mind is the world of duality. If you could look at the mind is the soul of creation. You could say that in,
Yes.
in a formal way.
Beautiful.
But fun stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Well, I hope you do well down there.
We will.
Thank you so much for
Thank
listening.
you all, everybody.
Yeah, I'll put
Thank
this
you.
up online too, if you don't mind.
I love it.
Although
This
It's
beautiful
pretty
man.
spiritual.
It's
It's pretty out there.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
But you know what? People have to learn.
But maybe it's just us a little rehearsal how to get pretty out there and make it palpable.
I think
Or
I can
what's
just
that
tell
right
you,
word?
and I've
Yeah.
told them before, when I came to this world, there were so many souls with me, I can't even tell you, as far as I can see. And all I can tell you is that we spread all out through these galaxies, and all I can tell you is there's big things happening.
There's big
Cool
things.
things happening. Some of the higher masters that the masters
Right.
are coming present. You rarely hear the masters, and then the silent ones are coming, I think, and it's like. And then I had at class, I had these 18-foot beings beside me.
Wow.
It's pretty radical. Those are good guys. But you got there's just so much going on. So many cool
Yeah,
things.
these are the best of times.
It is,
Really
in
living
one way of
in
looking at it,
peace.
because it's your time of freedom.
Yeah.
It's time to get out of here because life is so much grander on these other levels.
Absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
only freedom is these other levels.
It is.
I mean, let's be clear. We're not talking. It's just the only
It's
way.
a lot more free than here. This
Yeah.
is a very chemical inner plane.
Yeah.
You can feel free in consciousness, but your body is still trapped, the physical body.
I mean, yeah.
And if you don't treat it right and magnetically, I mean, that's like thinking you're spiritual enough to go beyond the laws of nature, and that's a
It's the
delusional.
deepest love for your body too, huh? To give it,
Thank
give
you.
it that.
Thank
Isn't
you.
that like people talk
Absolutely.
about love
Absolutely.
and la 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 la
Thank
la.
you. This is your car while you're
and
here.
then let's go to Shakey's Pizza or whatever, you know. And,
Yeah.
but yeah, great. Thank you a lot.
Thank you,
Dr.
guys.
Morse.
Thank
Thank
Love
you.
guys.
so
Thank you. Thank you.
much.
Thank you.